we welcome you all here at the Leaders Summit with the theme Scaling the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This event is organized by Chartered Accountants Women Committee, and I am Maimuna Rafat, your host for the day. We would like to start the summit with a little prayer and national anthem.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان
Five, four, three, two, one.
On stage, Ms.Hina Usmani, Chairperson Chartered Accountants Women's Committee. She is Managing Partner of Usmani & Co. and has the honor of being elected as first female council member of ICAP. She will give us a brief about Chartered Accountants Women's Committee. Please welcome, Ms. Hina.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is an immense pleasure to welcome you all at the summit organized by Chartered Accountants Women Committee. This summit is of utmost importance and defines the direction we are moving in future technological advancements and how that will affect our lifestyles, professional behaviors, and our economies. Our senior member, Khursheed Kotwal, floats this summit theme and led the organizing team who spent their time, efforts, and skills to make it a success. I'm sure you will greatly benefit from this summit and will listen to valuable speakers and panelists and will take necessary steps to prepare yourself for the fourth industrial revolution. I am greatly thankful to the World Bank, especially its team in Islamabad, for extending generous support both administratively and financially for this summit. I am confident that this will further strengthen the mutual beneficial relationship between the two organizations in future. While our valuable speakers and panelists will take you through fourth industrial revolution, its benefits and repercussions, I will introduce Chartered Accountants Women Committee, its objectives and challenges. In 2010, ICAP's past president, Mr. Abdul Rahim Surya, has taken the initiative and formed the Chartered Accountants Women's Forum. This forum had started functioning through a working committee to establish a networking group and address issues of both CA women members and trainee students. Later in 2016, past President ICAP, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf, on request of working committee members, has taken this initiative and formalized the structure of Chartered Accountants Women Forum. Accordingly, a CA Women Committee was formed in early 2017 under the bylaws of ICAP, chaired by a council member. As such, Mr. Atta-ur-Rahman was nominated as first chairperson and was instrumental in developing terms of reference of the committee and taking initiatives in line with the committee's objectives. Chartered Accountants Women Committee's core objectives are as follows: facilitate conducive working environment for female membership, mentor, encourage, and develop young talent, advocate for career advancement, develop leadership skills and competencies development initiatives at all levels, establish effective database and promote women members to be placed on boards of public sector entities and for greater representation in leadership positions. Provide a networking platform to seek advice on a variety of issues, including career, business, and professional challenges. Celebrate excellence through ICAPCA Women Achievement Awards for qualified and aspiring women CAs. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 brought with it the winds of change, and the members enthusiastically came forward and elected a female as council member for the first time in 57 years of ICAP and conferred second highest number of votes. This shows the trust and confidence placed by members on the competence and abilities of female professionals in accountancy profession and negated the perception of male domination. I am honored and privileged and thankful to all the members of ICAP who reposed confidence and trust in me to represent as first council member. My victory is the victory of all women, which is the outcome of encouragement of all our male members whose generosity and sincere support for gender diversity has made this possible. The CA Women Committee has many challenges to address. One such challenge is to attract new talent towards our profession. Let me take you through few key statistics. In 1997, the ratio of male to female members was 50:1. After 10 years, in 2007, this ratio was improved and recorded at 25:1. And now I am proud to state that today there is one qualified female for every 12 male members in CA profession. Apparently, this trend looks promising. But if we compare current regional statistics, we find ourselves far behind and see one female for every 3 male members in CA profession in other regional countries. Therefore, if we progress with same pace, we will be able to match current regional ratio in next 20 years. It justifies the necessity for formulation of strategic policies and development of action plans in order to bring Pakistan at par with regional countries. ICAP has taken many initiatives for inspiring young talent towards the profession, including introduction of mentorship program and holding interactive workshops for female trainees, formulation of women committee with specific objectives to attract new talent. Another challenge is to address issues faced by 600 female members comprising 7.5% of total membership. Bring back qualified females and inactive members to active stream. At present, more than 20% female members are unemployed or have taken career breaks, and around 10% qualified females are in the list of inactive members. There are various reasons for unemployment, career breaks, and inactive status, which mostly include family commitments and non-availability of enabling working environment. Concept of daycare centers, pick and drop facilities, flexible work opportunities are some of the areas which could have major impact on restoration and retention of women members in the profession. This is achievable through awareness campaigns in the corporate world, locally, and in collaboration with international agencies. In 2017, report on standards and codes issued by World Bank has emphasized the need to have increasing women participation in the accountancy profession. The report has encouraged and highlighted initiatives taken in respect of provision of work from home and flexible hours to mobilize the female accountancy resources from remote cities and towns. Under this model, female women accountants around the world can work from home and on flexible hours and will facilitate those entrepreneurs who are dreaming of ambitious plans for business growth. This change in work environment could be a benefit as it will make way for women with transferable skills to work with flexibility and give them access to new careers and startup opportunities. IT-enabled services is also one of the areas where work from home and in and outside Pakistan is getting popularity. And accessibility through easy internet access and technology is making it easier to expand this work option for females. The World Economic Forum statistics put Pakistan at rock bottom in terms of gender diversity. Many concrete steps are being taken by the government of Pakistan to reduce this gap at the workplace. One such step in this direction is the new Code of Corporate Governance issued by Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, which has brought an important change and made it mandatory for all public sectors entities to have at least one woman on their boards. We highly appreciate this change, which will increase participation of professional women at leadership positions and encourage young professionals to follow their career paths in this direction. In my opinion, the fourth industrial revolution is a great opportunity for Pakistan to reposition itself by reinventing the workplace and harnessing the potential of women, as well as centering inclusivity as part of this innovation. At the end, I would like to thank all my seniors, colleagues, and whole ICAP team to make this event possible. Thank you. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hina. Now, I would like to call upon stage Ms. Khursheed Kotwal. Khursheed is the lady behind this event. The summit is her brainchild to bring awareness for this wave. She is an active member of ICAP and founder of Aasman International, which is a financial and management consultancy company. Please welcome Ms. Khursheed to brief you about the summit in her own words.
Distinguished guests, keynote speaker Dr. Atta-ur-Rahman, members of the Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, Mr. Ilango from World Bank, speakers and panelists, summit delegates, a very warm welcome to you. It is good to see such large numbers. I believe we are entering into very exciting times when smart factories are manned by robots, when driverless cars rule the roads, when my super smartphone can hail a helicopter, or when machines with artificial intelligence can diagnose medical problems, or my smart alarm clock can communicate to the refrigerator to order groceries for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand on the brink of a technological innovation that will completely change the way we live, work, and communicate with one another. Seeing the electric cars this year in Canada and USA was very intriguing. Over and above it being very fuel efficient, the car is built with connectivity, meaning to say it is connected with Internet of Things. What this means is that the car is continuously giving signals to the control base, which is the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is able to analyze the data and be able to know the condition of the components or the parts. Now, it's not going to be very long before we see the driverless cars also on the roads, because by 2019 and 2020, Mercedes and GM Motors plan to launch the driverless cars. In fact, things are getting even better. Uber is planning for its flying cars, and the Dubai government is also working with a Chinese maker, the drone makers, to make flying taxis. So by 2020, these may be launched. Seeing a robot in action in the US bringing my toothbrush was also very interesting, and seeing it do all its chores. And I think we're not far away when actually the $6 million man that we have been seeing in TV would actually come to reality. Like Wadhwa says that by 2030, he's a US investor into technology, that by 2030 we will see the bionic man. So let's wait and see on that one as well. Now, there are a lot of companies, like in San Francisco, there is a company called Prelix Biologics that are working on 3D printing and 3D organ printing. So what is being said also that by 2023, one will not really need human donors for kidney, liver, or heart, but through the 3D printing, these can be implanted in the human body and they will have a long life. Now, if you've been a Trekkie fan, you would remember how the astronauts travel from one place to another within the blink of an eye. This is Hyperloop, although I would say Concorde's failed, but Hyperloop is an on-ground tunnel or a tube that they are making in Dubai as well as in the US, which will travel and make things travel or people travel very fast. Again, these are very interesting developments, and one has to wait and watch where these technologies take us. We believe that Pakistan has numerous opportunities in the area of science, technology, and all these developments of the fourth industrial revolution. Pakistan has got the right IT brains, and today we have these stalls where are young and not so young people who have innovated very interesting things. So please do go look around and see what they've innovated. We do have some youngsters who've made a robot as well. It's still in its infancy stage, but you can see that. We have people who have made something like WhatsApp with a lot more functionalities in it. We have somebody who's made an arm, and you will see that child being put on that prosthetic arm as well. So there are many interesting, and we have tried today to blend the experienced with the young, so there will be some table talks as well. We hope you enjoy the summit, and a lot of effort has been put in organizing the summit. Please stay on for the full day. I'm sure you will find it very exciting. The day will start off with the opportunities for Pakistan by Dr. Atta-ur-Rahman. We'll be hearing the World Bank perspective by Mr. Rilango. There will be some interesting talks and panel discussions by business leaders. In fact, there are 2 panel discussions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So please, and they will share what are the key things. Because I believe that we still need to do a lot of work as the business community in blockchain, digital payments, fintech. And this will be possible only through collaboration. So I believe that a lot of collaboration and working together of the business community with our youth is very important, and I hope we manage to achieve this thing forward, because we do not consider this summit as a one-time event. We do want to carry it forward. After lunch, for your tired brains, we have Lol Wale coming in, so they will entertain you for half an hour. And then we have some interesting talks on cryptocurrency, digital payments, etc. So in the end, I would like to thank my 2 very good friends who've really helped to put up this summit today. Saira Nasir, Muniza Bhatt, thank you so much for all your efforts put in for today's show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Khursheed. We understand that the fourth industrial revolution is going to be the game changer in this era. We would now like to have keynote addressed by Professor Atta-ur-Rahman. He is Chairman UN Committee on Science and Technology, a PhD in Organic Chemistry from Cambridge University, and a renowned personality. He has won 4 national civil awards from the government and has been awarded honorary doctorate degrees by many universities. In recognition of his global outstanding services to the development of science and technology, the largest university in Malaysia has established an institution with his name. Please welcome Dr. Atta-ur-Rahman on stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Very good morning. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to you about how truth has become stranger than fiction. and how every day brings 1,000 discoveries, often serendipitous, which are changing our lives in unexpected manners. So it's knowledge which is now the key driver for socio-economic development. Natural resources have diminishing importance. And those countries which have realized that their real wealth lies in their children, is in the manner in which they educate them and unleash their creative potential. Those are the countries which are marching forward, leaving others far, far behind. So whether it's large countries like China or small countries like Singapore, the story is the same. It's the quality of your human resources and your ability to tap into that creative potential. That is what makes the difference. Singapore, country, population about 1/4 of Karachi, hardly any natural resources. Exports last year were about 330 billion US dollars. Compare them to Pakistan, about $21 billion, and there is a lesson to be learned from those figures. And what happened in Singapore is highlighted in this slide. The blue line is Singapore per capita, GDP per capita. The red line is UK by comparison. The green line is an average for the rest of the world. So in the mid-1990s, Singapore overtook the UK and has now got a much higher per capita income than many of the advanced European countries. China, this one slide tells you the story of China, how it started preparing itself for the fourth industrial revolution about 50 years ago. So if you look in the first column, starting from 1978, China started sending students. The second column is the number of students sent to top universities abroad. So in 1978, China sent about 860 students, and then the number grew. In 2016, China sent over 500,000 students abroad to top universities, and about 430,000 students came back after completing their doctorates or postdoctoral training. So every year, about 400 to 450,000 students are coming back to China after training in top universities abroad. They are being clustered in world-class centers of excellence. And 2 years ago, China had a larger number of publications in nanotechnology, for instance, than the United States. And I predict that in the next 15 years, you'll find US students going to China to study. There's a huge revolution now taking place, the knowledge revolution. So let me turn to this strange and wondrous world where innovations, and many of them are so disruptive to ongoing industries, are changing the landscape of... this is not working very well, so it's just... So let's turn to I've taken a few examples to show you what is going on. For instance, in biotechnology, you find that exciting techniques have been developed where you can splice a part of a gene and transfer it to the gene of another organism and develop new types of organisms. For instance, some scientists have taken the genes from the firefly, jugnu ke genes liye, and put them into orchids, and lo and behold, you have luminescent orchids which glow in the dark. Golden rice has been developed, which has pro-vitamin A built in. So children which used to die for lack of vitamin A, thousands of lives are being saved. Malaria is now being tackled by genetically modified mosquitoes so that the females cannot fly away after laying eggs. Can I just give you a signal and you can then change, because this is not working at this. So I'll just give you a signal every time. Okay, thank you. The aging process. A lot of exciting work going on in the field of aging. Can we slow down the process of aging? Can we stop it? Can we reverse it? Well, after all, it's a chemical phenomenon, aging, and many chemical reactions are reversible. And we are now beginning to understand what are the major causes of aging. Well, the apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. Every cell has a certain command built into it that stop, it's time to die after so many cell divisions, and that's what it does. So scientists have learned how to interfere with that command. At the end of your DNA, there is a protective cap called a telomere, which erodes as you grow older. And the time comes when that cap is gone, and then your DNA itself starts eroding, and that's one of the reasons for aging. So scientists have learned how to put that cap on. And there are the aging genes and oxygen radicals, hence the antioxidants. So there are many causes. So some exciting developments. 3 years ago, David Sinclair at the Harvard Medical School discovered that there was a natural compound called resveratrol. When given to 3-year-old mice, it reversed their ages. And they became younger. Their body features changed, and they became like 1.5-year-old. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is another such substance. Metformin is a drug which is already used by FDA, has been approved by FDA for treatment of diabetes, and this has again been found to have very, very interesting anti-aging properties, and clinical trials started last year. So on humans as an anti-aging compound. So it's predicted that the children being born today will have ages of at least 120 years or more, average ages. In fact, over the last century, we have seen the average age of human beings grow by about 3 months per year. So people are living longer today by about 20 to 25 years than what they did 100 years ago. But now there are going to be a huge change in the next 10 years, 15 years because of these new discoveries that are taking place. Next slide, please. Similarly, microbes have been used as workhorses for a long time, and there are all sorts of changes that are being made in microbial structure so that we can use them to advantage. Is synthetic life round the corner? This is the work of Craig Venter in USA, where he took a DNA throughout its DNA and put in a synthetic DNA made in the laboratory, and that came alive and made 1 billion copies of itself. That happened about 2 years ago. 3D printing of kidneys, we have just heard. 3D printing of organs. Well, this is now being done. What has been done is that you take a normal inkjet-like printer instrument, and then instead of spraying ink, it sprays human cells on layer by layer, making a part of a liver or a kidney or whatever. The advent of stem cell technologies promises to change the face of medicine. Professor Yamanaka got his Nobel Prize for his work on stem cells. And if you come to my institute in Karachi University, the HEJ Research Institute of Chemistry and the Panjwani Center for Molecular Medicine, you will find a very nice stem cell facility. So this is being used for repairing kidneys or damaged kidneys or hearts and so on. So there are lots of exciting work going on there. Next slide, please. This is part of a 3D printed kidney produced. Next. Cut off a tail of a lizard, it grows back. To cut off the hand of a person, it doesn't grow back. Why not? Well, they've just discovered that there are certain tiny microRNA switches which are present in lizards, which are activated and allow the organs to grow back. So they are looking now for similar switches in human beings to see if they exist and if we can similarly trigger them. So the sky is the limit for all these. So regenerative medicine has come alive, and there's a huge amount of work going on in the area of regenerative medicine, tissue organ growth, using either DNA technologies or stem cell technologies or other aspects of regenerative medicine. Next slide, please. Let's turn now to biology-computer interface. Yes, please, next. So quantum computing is coming in a big way, hundreds of millions of times faster than normal computers, working not on the normal binary 0-1 principle, which normal computers do, but you have working on qubits. and they are perfectly safe, and this is now coming in a big way, and is going to change the way business will be done tomorrow, prediction of the environmental changes, the drug human body interactions, and a variety of other fields. Next slide. The human brain is arguably the most complex object of our universe. 100 billion neurons, each talking to some 10,000 other neurons. So 100 billion times 10,000 synaptic connections. Now there are devices which can read your thoughts. For instance, this gentleman has got a device around his brain which reads his mental commands. He just gives a mental command to a car, go faster, go slower, stop, go. And so he can drive through crowded streets purely by mental commands. And so this is fitted to, and you can do this now also with completely paralyzed people who cannot even move their fingers, for instance, after a stroke, and they can move a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair, just by thought control. Next slide. The blind can today see with their tongue. Actually, you don't see with your eyes. Eyes are only a mechanism for image transfer. You see with your brain. And so this is an electronic lollipop which has been developed. Next slide. Which this lady has. If you see that this lady has a little camera fitted on her glasses, she's a blind lady. And so the images are transferred into this lollipop-like device in her hand, which has some 400 sensors. And the moment she puts it on her tongue, the image is transferred through the nervous system of the tongue to the brain, restoring partial eyesight. So this is commercially available, made by a company called YCAB in Wisconsin. And now there are other devices. You don't need a lollipop-like device. You can wear an armband, and a similar phenomena through the nervous system of the arm, the images can be transferred to the brain. This is an area of great personal interest to me because we have been working on the molecular basis of thought, of memories. Thoughts are not abstract. Thoughts are made of atoms and molecules. What atoms? What molecules? What is the chemistry behind thought storage? So I have published many papers in this area, and some of my reviews have been published in top US journals. So those who are interested, I'd be happy to pass them on to you. Next slide, please. Crime genes. Genetics. So it has been found that hardened criminals have certain types of genetic changes which makes them much more aggressive, the so-called MAOA gene. And so the time is coming when before you employ a person, you'll just have a blood test done and see whether does he or she have criminal tendencies. 13 times greater chance to commit a crime than a normal person. Next slide. We just, Ms. Kotwal just mentioned about computers providing medical services. Well, IBM has got two divisions now. One of them is a health division, and the other is a legal division. And the health division, there was a competition between cancer specialists last year with IBM's Watson, which is fitted with health software. And in 99% of the cases, Watson came out with the same recipes as cancer specialists had suggested. And in 30% of the cases, it came out with additional treatments which the cancer specialists had not suggested. The same thing is happening in the law division. Law students in the US are worried now whether there'll be jobs for them because the legal companies, law companies, are now using IBM's Watson's law division services to get a very fast advice, legal advice, at a much cheaper cost than what is provided by lawyers. Next slide. This lady doesn't know a word of Chinese. She's talking to a Chinese gentleman. The gentleman she's talking to doesn't know a word of English. But she's got a little device in her ear. She talks in English. He hears in Chinese. Real-time translation. He speaks in Chinese, she hears in English. So these are available. Skype is already doing it for 8 languages, but there are now about 40 languages which are being developed where you could be able to translate and listen to various accents. Next slide. These are devices developed by DARPA. These are small insects, insect-like robots, which can be manipulated from miles away, fitted with cameras and sound systems. And they can be made to sit on the wall if you're prime minister or president and transfer all that's going on to the World Bank or to the US ambassador, and everything goes. So next time a flyer comes and sits on your table, watch out. Next slide. So let's now turn to another fascinating area, materials engineering. The Harry Potter's disappearing cloak is now a reality. So if Jahara Saiba, if I was to cover you with a shawl made out of metamaterials, you're going to disappear. You're going to become invisible to the naked eye. May I have the next slide, please? So these are metamaterials, META. They bend light around them. So think of a stream of water, hits a stone, and then goes around it. This is what these materials do to light, and they're commercially available. They're being used for cloaking submarines and tanks and other objects. Metamaterials. Next slide. Excuse me. Intelligent materials are here that remember their shape. So you may well be driving a car tomorrow, which has a little dent, but then you won't have to worry. You don't have to go to a mechanic or denter. It'll restore itself to its original shape. The Terminator film, you shoot a bullet, a hole is created, and it heals itself. That's now a reality. Self-healing materials are commercially available. Two professors at Manchester University shared a Nobel Prize for their work on graphene. This was 2010. And this is a substance, pure carbon, a honeycomb-like structure, single layer of carbon atoms, 200 times stronger than steel. And it's finding many applications. Next slide, please. It's finding many applications ranging from paper-thin televisions to shuttling anti-cancer drugs to much more powerful batteries and so on. So amazing substance. And there are other derivatives of graphene which are now available. So this is tomorrow, today. And this is where the billions of dollars and cents are. These are the disruptive innovations which are turning present industries upside down. And new opportunities are being created. Next slide. You have wrinkles on your face? Don't worry. Just put a little cream on and the wrinkles will magically disappear immediately. Come back in the evening, wash off the cream and the wrinkles reappear. So the wrinkle zapping cream is here. Next slide. Why do you have to take so many pills every day? Why not one pill which will last you a month? Well, in MIT, they have developed this polymeric material which hold on to the drug and release small amounts of the drug as needed throughout a matter of weeks. So this regular taking of pills will also disappear soon. Next slide. Nanotechnology has come in a big, big way. This arose rather serendipitously. Some scientists, Kroto and Smalley, looking at the chemistry of stars, how polycyanoacetylenes were formed. And they heated graphite to high temperatures, and lo and behold, they discovered an amazing substance called buckyballs. It was a molecular football, and it had fantastic properties, 60 carbon atoms. And then the whole field of nanosciences and nanotechnology came alive. So in my center in Karachi University, we have the first National Center for Nanotechnology, which has been built through a donation by Mr. Latif Ibrahim Jamal. And this is finding many, many applications ranging from medicines to water filtration and a host of other applications. Bulletproof paper is here. Paper made of nanocellulose, light, absorbent, bulletproof, made from nanocellulose. Next. Paper is now available made from stone. You don't have to cut trees anymore. These are powdered material, powdered stone, combined with a polymer, with a special polymer, and you can make very nice paper out of it. Next slide. The first 3D printed jet engine in Monash, Australia, a couple of years ago. So quite complicated objects that can now be produced by 3D printing. Next slide. Electronic textiles are here. You're wearing a red dress and you want a maroon with flowers on it, no problem. You just press a button and the design changes. Commercially available, electronic textiles. You go this evening and you look it up on the internet. Want to send an email message? It can be sent from one end of your dupatta. Want to make a telephone call from the other end of the dupatta. So these are electronic textiles available today. Next slide. ebb textiles, which slowly change their color depending on the chromophore present, the dye that you use. So you may go to a party wearing a black dress, come back wearing a maroon one. So they change their color slowly over a period of time, like water ebbs up and down. Next slide, please. Energy, let's turn to another area, energy. Next slide. So Tesla, this company was established in 2004. This year, the shares of Tesla were worth more than the shares of Ford, which was established in 1904. And the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, in a speech last month, said that our real competitor is no longer BMW and other such car manufacturers. Our real competition is with Google and other likes of Google, because that's what is happening in many industries. Next slide. So soon all these cars will be gone that you have in the street. It's been predicted that you will have cars working on purely electric cars. Next slide, please. Energy can now be produced from cellulose. Cellulose is abundant. The ghas bahar lagi hai, the grass outside is cellulose. Your shirt is probably cellulose. So cellulose has now been converted by a microorganism into butanol and isobutanol. And what's so interesting about butanol, it can be used 100% as car fuel, whereas ethyl alcohol, ethanol, can only go to about 25 or 30% before you need to change the engine. So this is now cellulose being converted into fuel. Next slide, please. Well, let me now turn to a little bit of what some of the steps that I took to help Pakistan try to start entering into the fourth industrial revolution when I was the Minister for Science and later the Minister responsible for higher education and also for IT and telecom. I persuaded President Musharraf at the time to give a 6,000% increase in the development budget for science and technology in Pakistan, and later also 3,500% increase in the development budget for higher education. And I said, because we have to put our money into our children, so let's stop looking for aid from outside, just buy 1 or 2 less F-16s and put the money into education. Next slide, please. And we focused on high quality faculty, because universities are not about beautiful buildings, they are about beautiful minds. The single biggest factor which determines quality in an institution is the quality of its faculty. So we sent about 11,000 students abroad to top universities across the world. And in order to attract them back, we tried to change the ecosystem, the environment here, by raising salaries. So the salary of a professor became about 4 times the salary of a federal minister in the government. But this was a contractual system. Paying high salaries to weak people would just have been a waste of money. So a new contractual system was introduced nationwide, first evaluation after 3 years, then after 6 years, before you won tenure. Every student coming back, he or she could apply for a $100,000 research grant 1 year before returning, so that even if they came back to a weak university, they would have sufficient research funding. Created a digital library, which today provides free access to 65,000 textbooks from 220 international publishers and to 25,000 international journals with back volumes. We probably were the first in the world to have an open access instrumentation system in Pakistan. What is that? You may have heard of open access journals, but this is open access instrumentation, which means that any researcher can send his samples for analysis to any institution of his choice in the country. The analysis would be done free of charge for him within 72 hours, but he can send the institution providing the analysis can send a bill to the Higher Education Commission for payment. So it will be paid for by the HEC. So existing resources would be optimized that way. And these and many other measures that we took had amazing results. Next slide, please. A number of other steps were taken, such as ranking of universities, stack reductions, and etc. I don't have time to go into them. Next slide, please. And this is what happened. The PhD output shot up and continues to increase. So this is, you see 2002 was when the Higher Education Commission was established. We were producing only about 100, 150 PhDs from the whole of Pakistan at that time. Now we are producing somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000. But numbers without quality would be a disaster. So we insisted that every thesis has to go to top international experts abroad for evaluation before the doctorates can be awarded. And of course, everything is checked for plagiarism through Authenticate and other softwares. Next slide. And the research publication shot up from Pakistan in quality journals. We are publishing only 700 publications in international journals back in 2002. Now last year we published about 12,000 papers in top international journals, and Pakistan is now at par or slightly ahead of India in terms of research publications per million population. We were about 15 times behind on the same yardstick 15 years ago. So something quite dramatic has happened in Pakistan. Next slide. And by the time in 2008, when I resigned as the chairman HEC and left, we had several of our universities ranked among the 250, 300, 350 of the world by the Higher Education Times UK rankings. Unfortunately, this support was not sustained subsequently, and now we have slid back. We have only one university right at the bottom of the last 500. The rest have all slipped out of the international rankings. Next slide. This is the PERN, Pakistan Educational Research Network, which was set up and which links all the universities with higher quality internet, and and on this we have the digital library which is functioning. Next slide. And establish video conferencing facilities across in all the universities, and we have daily lectures from top universities from across the world. We are probably one of the best connected university systems in this sense, and this is something that I had set up at that time. So this is a program which is still running under my supervision. We have had 4,000 lectures in the last 5 years. So on an average, 3 lectures a day from top universities. There is a focal point in every university of Pakistan. They are informed a month in advance who is going to talk from where, on which subjects, so the relevant departments are informed, and these are interactive. So this is a very nice program which has been running for the last decade or so. Next slide, please. And we placed Pakistan's first satellite also on space. Part of it was set aside for education. The virtual university transponder was set aside for distance education at that time. Next slide. Mobile telephony was one of the areas which expanded very fast. We had only 300,000 mobile phones, 0.3 million at that time. And we did 2 things. Firstly, introduced Uphone at much lower prices, so to create market competition. And second was people had to pay for receiving a call, so I switched that. And I said, no, it should be the calling party which should pay and not the person receiving, because the common person was reluctant to have a mobile phone. Ke call koi kar raha hai aur paise hamari jeb se ja rahe hain. So that was a huge psychological barrier. And since then, you have an explosive expansion. So at almost zero cost to the government, we have had now it's 150 or 160 million mobile phones in Pakistan. Next slide. Jahan Ara is here. Well, this was an article published in the New York Times on the 10th of August of 2015. And it said that from $30 million in the year 2000, the IT business has considerably expanded. Now I believe it is about $3 billion or $3.2 billion presently, so more than a 100-fold expansion. And that it also said that Pakistani programmers now rank as number 3 in the world, with annual sales of $850 million. So we are close to $1 billion just by these young people making apps and selling them. So something again very interesting is happening in that area. Next slide. Okay. The chairman of the United Nations Commission for Science, Technology and Development had this to say in a report that he published, that in no other country has the higher education sector seen such spectacular positive developments as Pakistan during the last 6 years. This was published in 2008. And Thomson Reuters, which is the world's leading international scientific data and ranking agency, published a report on Pakistan in 2016, last year, heading Another Brick in the Wall, BRIC. And it compared the highly cited publications coming out from Pakistan with those from Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And it concluded that Pakistan has emerged as the country with the highest percentage of highly cited papers compared with the BRIC countries. So the delta, the actual numbers of course are lower, but there's something very exciting going on in terms of high quality research from some selected laboratories across the country. So at the highest level, we are really something very good is happening. So this is what is preparing us for the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is a revolution of the mind. It's a revolution based on knowledge. It's a revolution based on creativity. And for that, you have to invest in education, education at all levels, primary, secondary, tertiary, and higher. Next slide, please. And all this that was going on, India became concerned. And there was a detailed presentation made to the Indian Prime Minister on the 22nd of July 2006 about Pakistan and what I was trying to do and about the Higher Education Commission. And India this was published in the Hindustan Times on 23rd July under the heading Pakistan Pak Threat to Indian Science. And they decided to close down their UGC as Pakistan had done and form an organization just like the HEC. This was approved by the cabinet, Indian cabinet. The new organization was called National Commission for Higher Education and Research, NCHR, but it was not approved by their Lok Sabha, so their UGC continues. Next slide, please. Well, I'm just coming to the last 2 or 3 slides. Next slide. Well, this is a new type of books that I have started. This is first about MOOCs, massive open online courses. These are available from Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and Khan Academy. What we've done is downloaded all of them, put them onto one platform with their permission, of course. And from school level to university level, they are freely available at this website, lejforlearning.com.pk. So these are tens of thousands of courses which are freely available to everybody. And we have distributed them to universities so that they can make use of these courses from the top universities across the world. Next slide, please. And these are new types of books that I've come forward with. These are books without any text, formal text. Just the headings are in text. And this book has a foreword from the French Nobel laureate Jean-Marie Lane. What I've done is I put them video links in it to lectures by the world's top professors. So it covers the entire curriculum of organic chemistry, but you just click and start learning from the best in the world. So I've also come out with another book on molecular biology in a similar manner. Next slide, please. And we have lectures going on across Pakistan of various types. We have interactive Chinese, German, French, and Arabic teaching also going on. This is again being done from my center in Karachi. Next slide, please. So I'll end here by just saying that we live in this knowledge-driven world, and some of the innovations are just a flash in the pan. There's so much going on that in every field that truth has really become stranger than fiction. And the way forward for Pakistan is to invest in the 100 million or so of young people that we have, 100 million below the age of 20. That is the real resource of Pakistan. And the moment that we have leadership that realizes that they are our real wealth and start investing in science and innovation, how far have we fallen behind? Cambridge University, where I am an honorary life professor, 90 Nobel Prizes from one university, 32 Nobel Prizes from Trinity College, Cambridge, just one college, 32 Nobel Prizes. Not a single Nobel Prize from anywhere in the Islamic world for work done within the Islamic world. Score is 0. That's how far we have fallen behind. So it's time to wake up and start investing in our children. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahab. Now I would like to invite Ms.Hina Usmani on stage to present Dr. Sahab a shield as a token of appreciation. Thank you so much, Dr. Sahab. We can all see that there has been a lot of progress in the field of education in the world. Now, we would specifically like to appreciate World Bank for the sponsorship and support for this event. Mr. K Thomsan is Director, Operational Policy and Country Services in the World Bank. Jennifer provides strategic leadership to the bank's safeguard, procurement, and financial management policies. She was unable to join us here today and has sent us a message which we shall play through a video recording.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to participate in this important summit, and my apologies for not being able to join you in person. First, I would very much like to congratulate the government of Pakistan on taking the initiative to carry out and publish an update on the report of observance of standards and codes for accounting and auditing. This is an important assessment as it provides areas for improving the institutional environment for accounting and auditing, and provides pointers to the way that the government and private sector, together with the profession, can look to meet the challenges and the opportunities being presented from the fourth industrial revolution. To help address the challenges and opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution, I'd like to talk about three important elements. First, the government's response to the fourth industrial revolution. Secondly, the importance of maintaining and implementing international standards and effective regulatory practices. And thirdly, in the importance of inclusiveness in the accounting and auditing profession. So first of all, let me talk about the first elements, the importance of the government's response to the fourth industrial revolution. As I said, many challenges and opportunities are presented by this revolution. So if we think about on the positive side, it will help foster an open, flexible, knowledge and skills-based economy. It can help promote trade outside of the traditional trading blocks, and it can help improve efficiency and effectiveness of social delivery systems, such as those in the areas of health and social care. So these are important opportunities we can think that the fourth industrial revolution would provide. But then on the downside, on the challenges, it's also going to create what we believe are opportunities or challenges where citizens will increasingly use technology and thereby create greater autonomy, challenging the traditional structures and ways of working. For example, blockchain technology can foster new approaches to banking and personal finance. People might choose to trade with each other rather in unofficial currencies, such as bitcoins, rather than in the main currency of the country. So this presents the challenge to the government, in particular, of being ready to adapt, to adopt new ways of working, and in particular to understand about new technologies. Otherwise, they may start to fall behind in their core responsibilities of providing and overseeing the efficient, effective delivery of services to the citizens and all citizens of the country, and also be less effective in supporting the efficient operation of markets, creation of jobs, and most of all for supporting inclusive and sustainable development. The fourth industrial revolution is going to bring increased use and different use of technology. So, as I've just indicated, the government needs to adapt to be able to more effectively deal with opportunities and challenges. So, but what I am sure of, and we all, I hear repeatedly, is that there will always be a need for high quality financial information, and there will be the transparency and accountability for both government and private sector will remain important elements of effective governance. So I think even as we recognise that the fourth industrial revolution will bring changes in the way that we interact and the economy works in terms of how business works, these elements of quality financial information, transparency and accountability will be continued to be essential. And this is where I'd like to come and link it back to the important ROSC report that is being disseminated through this seminar. This report provides important pointers as to the of actions that can be taken to strengthen and maintain the high quality information, financial information, and effective oversight practices that are needed to support good governance. So now I'd like to turn to the second point, which is about maintaining and further implementing international standards. This is again a key feature of the ROSC 2017 update, and there has been good progress made in both the legal framework and the structure of capital markets in Pakistan. The report highlights many achievements in this regard, and that is very important as far as moving forward. So I also commend the developments in the profession and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan in making progress to compliance with the IFAC Statement of Membership Obligations. I would like to highlight in particular one of the key recommendations of the ROSC report and in regard to quality financial information, and that is the recommendation for the full adoption of International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and in particular for the full adoption in the banking and power sector, given its importance in terms of the total market capitalization in Pakistan. Full adoption of IFRS is one of those key underpinning elements which will set the standards for understanding financial information, regardless of the technology or the new developments of the fourth industrial revolution. This will still be an important benchmark against which people can communicate, can understand what is happening, and be able to use the financial information for good decision making. And that in turn supports good governance both in the public and private sector. So I believe that, and I would encourage that steps be taken to move forward on this key recommendation. The third element that I mentioned that I'd like to now speak about is the importance of inclusiveness in the accounting and auditing profession, and in particular to the role of women in the profession. And of course that's quite dear to my heart, being a professional accountant myself. So I think that the ROSC report highlights some key challenges that the profession faces in Pakistan, in that there is a low rate of females in the accountancy profession. I understand it to be only around 7% of the total chartered accountants. So this is an area that needs urgent and continued attention. I think some great achievements have been made in terms of the formation of the Chartered Accountants Women's Committee by the Institute, and the early steps of making sure that there is increased awareness raising amongst students about the potential, particularly female students, to join the profession, and providing mentorship to young females so that they can progress their careers. I'd also commend the courage of both the Institute and its members for selecting a female member to the Council, the first time in the history of the profession and this occurred, I understand, during the elections in June 2017. These are important steps to make sure that the profession is inclusive, because being inclusive brings balanced views. It brings and allows the talents of all members of the profession to shine and to contribute to the development, the future development of the accountancy profession. I note also that the Chartered Accountants Women's Committee is now actively engaged in becoming and giving more visibility to the female members through workshops and conferences. This Leadership Summit Conference on the Fourth Industrial Revolution is a key achievement, and I commend the committee and the Institute and the government for supporting this. So with these tremendous achievements, I wish the Institute and particularly the Women's Committee the very best as they continue to further the inclusiveness of the profession in Pakistan. In conclusion, I would like to emphasise that the challenges and opportunities of the Fourth Industrial Revolution can be met. They can be met through the government being ready to adapt, to have take appropriate steps to respond, and I think the government is supported in that regard by the private sector and the accounting profession. Secondly, I think it's important that we move towards adopting international standards and as a key element that underpins the way we communicate financial information, regardless of technology improvements or moving to non-traditional institutions and systems. And thirdly, I think I'd like to emphasise and encourage very much the inclusiveness of the profession and taking steps to particularly recognise the role that women can play in the accountancy profession. So thank you, and I wish you every success with the rest of the summit.
Now we have Mr. Ilango here with us today, who has travelled all the way from Washington to speak and attend this event. Mr. Ilango is the Country Director, South Asian Region at the World Bank. His career at World Bank spanned over 2 decades, where he has delivered complex and innovative operations on the subject of environment and natural resources. Please welcome Mr. Ilango on stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished colleagues and friends. I'll begin with a correction. I didn't come from Washington, I came from Islamabad, where our Pakistan office is located. And first, let me congratulate the Chartered Accountants Women's Committee for organizing this leadership summit for 2017. It's both my pleasure and privilege to represent my institution and over 300 of my colleagues who work on different spheres of support to Pakistan. The World Bank has been active in this country for many decades. We have been a steady development partner. We have supported not only in financing infrastructure, but also in building capacity, at the same time building the foundations to better human capital in Pakistan. Let me warmly welcome the Chief Minister who just arrived, and it's a pleasure to be talking in your presence, Mr. Chief Minister. Pakistan just celebrated its 70 years. At the World Bank, we are looking at a future visioning exercise of this country. What kind of a country will Pakistan be in 2047 when it turns 100 years? It has 2 very distinct pathways. One pathway is a pathway where Pakistan can become a high middle income country if it's able to grow at 8% a year economically and can contain its population growth to less than 1%. You're looking at GDP per capita in this country, or per capita income, rising to about over $10,000. The second pathway is the most troubling one, and this is if Pakistan continues with business as usual. That is, you're growing at 4%, 5%, and your population growth continues at 2 to 2.5%. You're looking at a per capita income around the same as what it is today. That means in over 30 years, a generation and a half would have not benefited from real welfare gains or prosperity, purely because it will be a very stagnant situation. For that, there are 3 things, I think, where the 4th Industrial Revolution can help Pakistan. First is taking advantage of the demographic dividend. Second, closing the digital divide. And third, building a much stronger human capital. Professor Atta-ur-Rahman, in his closing remarks, said, it's time to invest in our children, and we fully and wholeheartedly agree with that. Let me go to the first point about the demographic dividend. The recent census indicated that Pakistan's population is 207 million plus and growing fast, but nearly 60% or more are youth. But if you look at the way the economy is growing in terms of creating jobs, there are more entering the labor force than actually what the economy can create in terms of jobs. So there is a gap that needs to be filled. Second, on the demographic dividend, though you have 150 million mobile phone users, and you have 48 million who have access to internet, which has steadily grown in the last 6-7 years, nearly 8-fold. But if you look at the gender disparity, it is huge between boys and girls. That needs to be closed. And this is also something you see much more troublingly in the female labor force participation, which stands at 23%. When you take some of the most successful economies of Southeast Asia, it's almost 1:1 today. And that gap needs to be closed if technology and the fourth industrial revolution really is going to contribute to Pakistan's economy and the society as a whole. Second is on digital divide. Yes, it's great to see that Pakistan is among the world leaders in freelance, and it generates about $1 billion or so in income. But that's just only one part of the story. But if you really look at the division in the rural areas and the urban areas, it's very stark. And I'm glad to see some initiatives are happening, especially in the rural development agriculture sector, where more and more farmers are being connected to internet, smartphones, so they can start getting better information. They get information about inputs as well as where the producers can end up. And here, there's a lot you can learn from how Alibaba has expanded e-commerce in China and globally, and how these e-commerce platforms are today transforming lives in rural areas. So I strongly believe that closing the digital divide is vastly important. Third topic is investing in human capital. I know the Chief Minister and I have discussed this many a times. This is a challenge throughout Pakistan. And it's more so now because in the fourth industrial revolution, what you really require is the cognitive skills. And one particular constraint to Pakistan is the levels of childhood stunting, which currently remains at 44%. It has stood that way for nearly 5 decades. And something needs to be urgently done, because stunted children are not going to be able to sort of be contributing to the digital economy of the future or the fourth industrial revolution. And this goes beyond just stunting into ensuring there is primary enrollment and completion rates get sort of much more sturdier, stronger, and you're going to have better learning outcomes. And the government needs to spend more in health and education. Today, it's around 3 times lower than peer countries at 3% of GDP. It needs to rise significantly. So in closing, I'm optimistic. Fourth industrial revolution offers great opportunities for Pakistan, but there are still some serious structural reforms that need to advance. Some serious investments in human capital gains need to happen. And more importantly, I think Pakistan needs to moderate its population to under 300 million. Otherwise, in 30 years, you're looking at a country of nearly 400 million people with all its attendant challenges. So these are what I would say the challenges for not only leaders of today, but leaders of tomorrow as well. And once again, let me wish this summit the very best, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elango. So reducing the demographic division and human capital development is definitely going to boost the economic growth in Pakistan. As we expect that the fourth industrial revolution is going to bring prosperity, it can, on the other hand, increase the disparity as well. The government will have to have a proactive role to play in this digital world. It is expected that the revolution is going to increase the GDP many folds, putting pressure on the governance as well as the wealth distribution. Another important factor is the women participation in the economic growth. Talking in this context, we are delighted to have Honorable Chief Minister Sindh, Syed Murad Ali Shah, as our chief guest. Please welcome Syed Murad Ali Shah on stage.
Bismillahir-Rahman-Rahim. Mr. Riaz Chamdia, President, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, Ms.Hina Usmani, Chartered Accountants Women's Committee, Ms. Khursheed Kotwal, Team Leader, Organizing Committee, Mr. Ilango, Country Director, World Bank, Professor Atta-ur-Rahman, valued guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am indeed delighted to be invited by the Chartered Accountants of Women's Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan to speak at the Leadership Summit on scaling the fourth industrial revolution. I am very pleased to see that ICAP is taking such concrete and commendable steps for gender diversification in the chartered accountant profession. ICAP is a pioneer in the field of professional education in Pakistan. ICAP members have made a mark for themselves all over the world and can proudly boast of their achievements. The government of Sindh is also a strong advocate of supporting women in every field because they have a pivotal role in the progress and development of Pakistan. The government of Sindh Department for Women Development has devised an active provincial policy for women development and also supports women in the field of business. The government of Sindh is also working to achieve commitments agreed upon with international organizations such as the International Labour Convention, the Beijing Declaration, and the Convention for Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women to remove all obstacles women face when they want to move forward in their careers, education, as well as other goals. The theme of the conference of the summit today is very appropriate, as we can all see that the fourth industrial revolution is already making a great impact all over the world. Just yesterday, I was sitting down with a friend and we were recalling, we started talking about cricket. We started hearing cricket commentary on our radio sets. We are of that generation when there were no televisions. Only some houses used to have a television set, and in order to watch cricket live, we would go to a friend's house who had a television to watch cricket. And then later in the 70s, the colored television sets came in, and we had this cricket in color. And that was something, watching Wimbledon and cricket test matches for 5 days together in front of a television set. That was technology. That was the ultimate. And if you talk to kids about this now, just this morning I was having my breakfast and on the television there was a program coming, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think in the Young Fortune 500, there's 6 Pakistanis. And one of them was being interviewed. He was from Northern California, from the Bay Area, and he had a company in artificial intelligence, and he was talking about his company. So this is where we have come from in the last 5 decades, starting with radio sets, and now you can watch, talking about cricket, so you can watch cricket anywhere on your cell phone. We're just talking to the president, and he said the largest taxi company in the world does not own a taxi. That is technology. That is the fourth industrial revolution that we're talking about. And countries who've not kept up with the advancement in technology have been left behind. And although we've got great brains all around the world, but we've not been able to capitalize, and I think that we need to rethink our priorities and make sure that the human capital that we have, Ilango talked about the 207 million plus, and we need to control population, but the population that we have, the human resource that we have, we need to make use of them. China has done it. China has become a great power, and one of the reasons is its population, though they've controlled population, but they used the human resource that they had, and China now has I believe, the biggest technology company in the world because of the huge market that they have. We talking about markets, a few days ago I was told that the internet users in Pakistan are more than the total population of Canada. And despite that, we've not been able to really capitalize on the technology revolution that has come in. So forums like this, I'm sure, will go a long way in promoting the technology advancement. And I'm sure that what comes out of this conference today would help the entrepreneurs, would help the people, because as Ilang was saying, business has changed altogether. With the advancement in technology, the way that you think, the way that you operate is entirely changed. And we need to keep up with this. The government of Sindh, I'll just talk briefly in terms of what we're doing. We've got an information science and technology department. We've got, we're working on recruitment based, and we've already got that software. We're just going, we've developed that software to provide all kinds of jobs through a web-based portal. In terms of using technology, in the last few years, we've developed a web portal whereby our entire finances, at one time, I remember I've been a finance minister for 7 years now, and at that time, the release of money and the expenditure used to be a state secret, and we'd not divulge it. I don't know why. But now we have a system whereby on a bi-monthly basis, on a fortnightly basis, we give all the details on the finance department portal, and similarly other departments have also been working on it. As the Chief Minister, I've tried to use technology. My entire secretariat, my schedules, the different projects that I'm personally monitoring, the constituency-wise projects that are being developed, I have them available on my iPad, and I try and follow them. So we have been using technology, but there's lots more we can do. And one of the reasons that we've not been able to develop that fast is because we've not been able to keep up with the advancement in this technology. Our land revenue system, our land records, despite what a number of people say, we've got in Pakistan the best land record systems, and I want to invite some of you someday to come to the revenue office, where they have where you can just put in your name and you'd get details of the land holdings that you have in the province. We've developed an e-policing system in Sindh. We've got in the Secretariat a biometrics identification electronic card system. Right now, we're building capacity for training 15,000 Sindh government employees in the IT sector, and several other e-government projects are being undertaken. So the government of Sindh is working on catching up and being abreast with the developments in technology. And I would also request that any advice, any suggestions, any help that I can get from professionals would be most welcome. And in order to serve the people better, in order to ensure that we can provide, we can have good service delivery for the people of this province. I would like to congratulate the organizers for holding this event. I wish that you have a very successful event, and the outcomes are useful not only for the industry but also for the government. And I would love to get a copy of the proceedings so that we can follow up on this. Once again, I thank the organizers for having me here. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we would like to invite Atta-ur-Rahman Chamdia, President ICAP, on stage to present a memento to the Chief Minister.